look, like, okay. So I'm gonna put that on this eye, and I'm doing them exactly the same. There's no primer, there's nothing, there's no foundation, there's nothing on my lid space. But when I put this blue on, where is the color? Okay, let me just try to add more. Hi guys, Asia here. If this is your first time to my channel, if you are returning to my channel, hello, thank you for coming back. I'm so excited that you're here. Let me start from the beginning. I filmed a video. I'll put a clip of it. I'll put a clip of it up here for you, or up here for you guys to see. I was using the Morphe 35V palette, and my overall interpretation of the palette, I was like, yeah, you know, it's a good palette. After I filmed that video, I sat down to kind of do some other things, and I was kind of, okay, let me rewind. The other day, my mom and I, when we were going to purchase this palette, we were looking at different palettes, and I swatched the Juvia Place palette. I don't remember which palette it was, but it's at Ulta right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, this palette swatches beautifully. And so then I was kind of confused, because then I went over to the NYX, like I think it was a NYX palette, and the palette didn't swatch so great. It was like, so I was like, no. And then I said to myself, you know what, when I go home, I'm gonna swatch some really good palettes that I love versus some palettes that I don't really reach for, because I've noticed that the pigmentation just isn't there. And then I thought to myself, you know what, as I was doing the Morphe 35V video, I thought, man, you know, I'm having some trouble with certain colors. So I wanted to then swatch this video, because there is some talk that swatches don't really show the true value of a palette. Swatches don't really show the true value of a palette. And I don't know that. I don't know if they do or if they don't. So I figure I might as well swatch them myself and find out. So I'm going to start with a palette that I absolutely love. Let's see together how it swatches. And then I'm going to swatch some of the shades that I was having trouble with the 35V. And let's just experiment ourselves and see whether or not the swatch let's see if the swatch really is indicative of the pigment of the palette. Okay. I'm gonna grab a palette that I really like. Okay, so one palette that I am absolutely in love with is this Sassy Sienna palette. It comes from Dose of Colors. Every time I've heard of Dose of Colors, I've always heard good things about it. I absolutely love this palette. I've never had any problems blending it. I love to reach for it. Obviously, you can tell by how well used it is, especially because one of the colors are broken. So I'm gonna swatch this on my arm, because usually when we go into the stores, we're not applying makeup directly to our faces. I'm not, at least, because I don't know whose skin or what problems or what issues or what is going on that person's face. With the Dose of Colors, I am going to just take the color and then swatch it on my arm. What I'm looking for in my swatches, like when I first started buying makeup, I didn't really know what the swatch was. Like, I was looking at the color. But what I look for now is not only the color, I want to see if it's true to the color that's inside of the palette, but I also want to notice how it looks when I first start to swatch to how it looks when I finish. And you can see here that that color goes all the way through, and it's pigmented from the beginning of the swatch all the way down to the bottom. Again, this is a color that I have used all the time. I absolutely love it. I've never had any pigment problems. I've never had any trouble blending it. Again, it's from Dose of Colors, and it's never given me any problems. I'm gonna swatch another one from the palette, because sometimes colors are kind of like, you know. So I'm just gonna rub it right here. Now, from the start to the finish, you can see that the color is consistent all the way through, all the way down. Now I'm gonna clean off my finger. Now, I was using the 35V and I was having trouble with the purple and the blue, these matte shades right here. Some of the sparkle colors weren't showing up as true as I would hope they would. I should not have to do so much work to a color in order to make it work. If I pay almost $30 for a palette, I expect the palette to do what it says it's gonna do. So if I see this color, I expect to see this color on my eye. So when I grab this palette on the finger, it looks great. I'm going to swatch it. Now see how it looks, it's even kind of patchy up here and it's falling apart, and as it gets to the bottom it just kind of disappears. Now some people might say, well, all swatches do that. No, they don't all do that. You're looking at it right here. It's like, this is Dose of Colors, is pigmented all the way to the bottom where I lifted my finger up. I don't have any trouble with these two, and I was having so much trouble with this color right here. I'm going to swatch the purple as well. On my finger, it looks fantastic. It looks well. No, it actually looks kind of choppy on my finger too, now that I look at it. But I'm going to put it on my arm just to test it out. And you could see it, like, it's there. Let me zoom it in so you guys can see. You could see that the color is there. It's kind of choppy right here, and then it loses the swatch because all of that just fell off right there. It's the same thing with the blue, but it's not like that for these other two swatches. And this is what I mean by, like, you know, how am I gonna feel when I go into a store? And I know you guys are seeing all the setup back there, but it's okay because I feel like this is like a necessary video, right? Like, hold on, am I good? I feel like this is a necessary video because sometimes you go into a store thinking, oh my god, let me swatch this color, and you'll swatch that onto your arm and be like, oh, that's so pretty, but in actuality, is it really all that pretty? Like, I'm gonna swatch the sparkly color that I was having an issue with. Again, if you see it on my finger, it's kind of like, hold on, let me zoom it in. On my finger, you see, like, it's kind of like it's loose. It's very loose on my finger. The color is really pretty, but when I put it up on my arm, let's see what happens. I'll just put it. That's pretty decent. That's pretty decent. It gets lost a little bit towards the end of the swatch, but it's pretty decent. Like, it's still kind of chunky up in here. The reason why, and just going back to the Dose of Colors, you don't see much fallout from this color, but I do see, it's actually kind of interesting because now what the swatch test is telling me is how much fallout is going to be in the palette, because I do notice that when I stick my brush into the Morphe palettes, any Morphe palette, I get a significant amount of kickback, enough where I notice that it's kicking up at me. I don't get the fallout onto my face because I know how to apply the makeup to my face. But if I was somebody who was just starting out with doing my makeup, would I pick up this particular palette? I would have to say no. I have had other Morphe palettes. Now I'm just gonna swatch test these other ones because there are some other Morphe palettes that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, so I have the Morphe 9 palettes. This is the Morphe 9A, 9B, and 9C. They are all different in color. They are different in what they offer, and I really like the pigment of these colors. I have used them quite often, and I really love them. Honestly, I believe that when Morphe kicks out these larger palettes, the pigment of the palette is lost. It's not as like, they don't care as much, you know what I mean? Like, in this particular palette, the 9C, I'm just gonna swatch, let me swatch the ones that obviously you could tell that I use this a lot. I'm gonna swatch Stone Fox up here. Hope you guys can see it. And see, I've got, there's kickback all the way at the top. You can see, like, even when I shook it, like, it just kind of fell off. But the color of it is not so consistent down at the bottom, but it's a much better swatch than this purple down here. Like, so when I first started buying my palettes, I was looking at them going, oh my gosh, this palette and the colors that are put inside of this palette are so pretty. I really want to use them. I want to get it. So when I got the palettes, I was thinking, maybe something's wrong with me, and maybe I don't know what I'm doing. When in essence, the palette is not a very not a very well-made palette to begin with. And I don't know if this is why Morphe is so controversial. I don't know if this is a case of you get what you pay for, but I'm also going to do an example of putting that blue on my eye without anything else on it, because in the video, and I'll try to put it up here, where I was trying my best to blend out the blue on top of another crease color. With any other palette I might be fine doing that, but with this particular one it just was not happening. And I was thinking, man, you know, what am I doing wrong? It just looked like all the colors just bled into one and became one color. Well, I'm gonna try to put this on my eye. First, I'm gonna do on this eye the Dose of Colors, the palette that I don't have any problems with. I'm gonna apply that same sienna color to my eye. It looks beautiful on the brush, and when I apply it to the eye, you can totally see the pigment, solid pigment all throughout. It looks absolutely beautiful. I haven't even blended the color and it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna clean it off with this, clean off my brush, and now I'm gonna dab into the Morphe 35, and you can see, like, look, like, okay, so I'm gonna put that on this eye, and I'm doing them exactly the same. There's no primer, there's nothing, there's no foundation, there's nothing on my lid space. But when I put this blue on, where is the color? Okay, let me just try to add more. See, this is what you shouldn't have to do. I feel like you shouldn't have to do this. You pay almost $30 for the palette. You should not have to do this. It looks like it looks like, let's zoom it in. Okay, so it looks like a patchy hot mess on my eye, and there's no way that anybody using this can tell me that that looks good. I just, like, real time just put that on my eye, and now look at the Dose of Colors, clean all the way through. I didn't blend them out, I put them on exactly the same. So now that I'm looking at it, would I tell you to go and pick up this palette? Okay, so okay, we all do what we want to do. I can't tell you whether or not you should get something or if you shouldn't get something. I get things because I like to review and use all different types of products, and also, you know, when I'm doing freelance work, I can, you know, use them on clients. Obviously not this one. Interestingly enough, if I will give credit where credit is due, I haven't used all of the colors in the palette, so I can't say the whole thing is a toss, but the colors that essentially drew me to the palette do not perform well on the eye. The one that does, the one that I was extremely excited about, was this black. It looks absolutely pigmented. You can tell even on the swatch on my finger, it's pigmented. I don't see any fallout that's on my finger. It's not patchy on my finger. And when I swatch this, I'm going to swatch it just right above this silver color. That color all the way through is, dude, let me zoom into this. Okay. Look at that color all the way through. This is where I picked my finger up right here, and that's the only reason why it's a little bit lost. There's a little bit of fallout right there, so I know from the black I'm going to use it and I'm going to get the maximum amount of color from it. But from every other color, like you guys can see here on my, I don't even know if you can see it. Nah, I can't even twist it enough. I can't even twist it enough. But basically, you get the point. Okay, so you get the point. I look like a hot mess, and I'm marked up like, you know, tribal markings, because the sole purpose of letting you guys know this is a true and honest review of this palette. I was going to put out the previous video without having done this before, and I think what I'm going to start to do in the future is to do things like this so that you can see literally what it looks like. Would I suggest you spend your money on this palette? No, I wouldn't. And I have a lot of Morphe palettes, so I kind of want to go through and, you know, do this to all the rest of them. And I'm really kind of disappointed because my mom got this palette too, and it's kind of like, you know, if she goes to use it, what is she going to think of her skills as a person using this particular palette? She's going to think that, oh, I can't do makeup, and then maybe look for 1,000,001 tutorials on how to use it. And you know, and if I'm being completely honest, I feel like maybe Morphe should invest its time and its money in making smaller palettes where they can focus on the product itself and focus on the quality of the pigment, or the quality of the colors and the eyeshadows, rather than just kicking out these big giant palettes. That's just what I think. I kind of want to do the same thing, swatch test like this. I don't even know what to call this, with the Jaclyn Hill palette. I know everybody's like raving about it. The Vault if you guys want to see swatches of the Vault, let me know in the comment section and I will do a video similar to this of the Vault. I hope that this video serves to help you when you are on your quest to find the perfect eyeshadow and the perfect palette, and to also see whether or not you should spend your money on palettes. I look forward to giving you guys honest, straightforward, to the point reviews. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you click that like button. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, y'all, because it's the right thing to do. I'll see you in the next one. I look like a hot mess. Look at my eye. Like, I feel like I should take this palette back and get a different one.
But Mom, then you can't take it back.
Why?
It's been used or opened.
Oh, if they don't know, I can take it back to Ulta. I sure can. Let Morphe try to tell me that only 1% of purchases have been returned. We're just gonna exchange this, and I should probably get the Juvia's Place palette. I should tell my mom to exchange it too. I can't believe. Look at my eye. Look at my eye. Look at my eye. I should exchange that Jaclyn Hill one too. This is crazy. I should have did this a long time. No, I'm gonna keep it just because of the black. Okay. Wow. Keep it because the black is good. I'm gonna try the other colors before I take it back. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be thorough. I'm gonna be thorough, y'all. Coming out on her. 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 Let's clean this. Look at how my cellar water just dissolves. Dissolvization.
That's not even a word.
Maybe.